thank you now, God, for what you're getting ready to say in this place. And now let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight. In Jesus' name, amen. If you will please turn with me to the Gospel of St. John, chapter 19. The Gospel of St. John, chapter 19, and we'll be reading verses 25 through 27 of John 19, verses 25 through 27. We are still in our series, Watch Your Mouth. Watch Your Mouth. And we are using the 7 sayings or the 7 last words of Jesus Christ on the cross. And we are now in our 5th installment of this series, Watch Your Mouth. And we are using those words. And now we are on the 3rd word of Jesus from the cross, and it is found in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 19, and it is found within the pericope of verses 25 through 27. When you have it, say amen. I'll be reading from the New International Version. It says there, near the cross of Jesus stood his mother, his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Cleopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, this is the word, "Woman, here is your son," and to the disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. I want to preach just a little while with prayers from the subject, the right words for surviving a painful circumstance. The right words for surviving a painful circumstance. I believe all of you would agree with me if I were to say that it is human nature to use choice words while in pain. It's human nature to use certain words in reaction to tragic issues in life. When pain hits us suddenly and catches us off guard, or all of a sudden appears in our life, we are now able to express a few words that will let people know our plight, predicament, and perspective. When physical pain hits you all of a sudden, when you are hit with physical pain, you have some words that you can say. When you hit your funny bone, it ain't so funny. Or stub your toe or get a paper cut, you know words you can use to express your plight, predicament, perspective while in pain. You just might end up saying something you wouldn't say in a regular conversation. Not only while in physical pain, but also when light circumstantial pain hits you, all of a sudden you got some words you can say. You have a few words to say when you're eating and ketchup falls on your uniform or your work clothes. And it might not be physical, but it's circumstantial, and it bothers you because you now got to walk around and people think that you put on a dirty shirt or you wore a dirty uniform to work. Because when you're driving, you have, in fact, some words you can say. When, in fact, the car cuts in front of you, you know some words you can say and express to people that they will figure out how you really feel and what you really want to say, and the person in the next car might not even see you or be looking at you or look behind them in the mirror to know what you're saying. They can't even hear what you're saying, but you want to say it anyway because it'll make you feel good about the situation. You got some words you can say that will express your plight, predicament, and perspective. The words you know to use, even though the person bothers you and gets on your nerves, and you know how to express your anger to them. And sometimes when you are really upset and mad, you can say it to them in such a way where they can really feel how you really feel, and they'll really know what you really know. And it's not off of some soft words, but some deep words. And I know y'all ain't never cussed before in here before, but if you've ever felt that way, you know what I'm talking about. That is a light circumstantial situation. And you can express pain through a light situational circumstance. But my dear friends, we also have words we can say when we have heavy circumstantial pain. It's not a car accident you almost had, but that marriage that didn't work. And every time you think about it, it not only sends your mind and your heart somewhere, but your words somewhere. When your spouse upsets you and does the same thing over and over again, and they know what they did, and they keep doing it and keep making you mad, you got some words you can say. Or that bully that keeps bothering you in school, or that F you keep making in school, or them student loans you can't pay back. These are in fact heavy situational circumstances, because now your credit score is affected and you can't move out of that apartment and buy your home. You can't do the things that you want to do because you are now facing a heavy circumstantial situation, and it causes pain that wants you to express some words that people can understand how you feel. But my dear friends, there is another kind of pain. This kind of pain, this circumstantial pain, is a pain that many of us feel, and we can't find the words to express how we really feel on the inside. These are heavy circumstantial pains. We have heavy circumstantial pains. We have light circumstantial pains. We have physical circumstantial pains. But what about spiritual pain? Spiritual pain that hits you when that loved one dies and you realize that you will never be in their presence the same way again. And now you realize that you are mortal and that one day you are going to die. I always tell the story about my cousin, and we had a conversation, and my cousin would say, yeah, if I die. And I thought to myself, no, not if you die, but when you die. Because my dear friends, all of us are here for an appointed time. And life is not going to always be the way you know it now. But when you have spiritual pain and realize that one day I'm going to die, it grips you when it makes you feel like you're lost and you don't understand the future and the hereafter. But when you know Jesus, you're not necessarily worried about that kind of pain. You no longer have the words to say when you realize you got that kind of issue. What kind of words do you use when you have had it with life and you feel you have no reason to keep living? You know, spiritual pain. The pain people can't tell you or can't tell that you have by looking at you. But you know how to hide it when you come to church. You know how to hide it with a church smile or with church clothes on or church makeup. But deep down on the inside, you got some pain that you're masking and you're hiding. I'm not talking about a scrape or a cut or a bruise, but a pain that's deep on the inside of you. A pain that you can't necessarily heal with cortisone, neosporin, or witch hazel. Pain on the inside, a pain that you feel when you are reminded of a situation and tears start to well up in your eyes. And when you have that kind of pain, you have to understand that situations and circumstances in life bring you to a place where you don't have the right words to say. My dear friends, Mary finds herself at the foot of the cross in this kind of spiritual pain, watching her son bleed to death and seeing him gasping for air. Theologians, historians, and scientists tell us that those who suffered death on the cross didn't die from hemorrhaging. They didn't die from bleeding to death or bleeding out, but rather they died from asphyxiation. They died from suffocation, because as he hung on the cross, he's hanging there with nails in his hands and nails in his feet. And as he's hanging, he's trying to relieve the pain from his hands. So he's slouching down, and as he slouches down, the pain rushes down to his feet because his feet are now being bombarded by the pain from his upper torso, and so he has to try to crunch up and crunch down, and by doing so, his lungs begin to collapse, and so he's grasping for air. And so as Mary is at the foot of the cross, there are others around her, but she doesn't hear them, but she hears her son grasping for air. And Mary now has her son suffering not from asthma, not from corona, but suffering from the cross. And he's suffering from air, and he's trying to breathe, and as he is suffering from the pain on the cross, and Mary sees him in pain, and she's in pain because her son's in pain, and a mother can feel the pain that her children goes through, and no mother should ever have to bury their child. No mother should ever have to see their child suffer. No mother should ever have to see their child go through that kind of pain and that kind of issue. He's suffering on the cross, and Mary has some words to say. She has something to say. She's suffering from spiritual pain, but she doesn't say anything. But as you see on the cross, not only is Mary suffering from spiritual pain, but as Jesus is suffering from physical pain, Jesus knows the right words to say. Jesus, in the midst of his own painful experience, helps his mother and this disciple get through their painful experience. Watch this. He helps them get through their painful experiences by forcing her and him to understand and accept that there is an after. In order for you to survive a painful experience, you have to understand that there will be an after to your pain. Oh my God, I know it looks bad right now, but there is an after this pain. That trouble don't last always. That even though you're going through pain right now, there is an after this. Your after will be better. Your after will be brighter. In your after, you will be bigger. In your after, you will be wiser. In your after, you will be stronger. In your after, you will be better. Jesus looks down upon his mother and this disciple and forced them to look beyond their present pain and their painful experience. And he forces them to understand that there will be an after. Jesus looks down at his mother and this disciple and says, you need to stop stressing over this pain. You need to stop having issues over this problem. This present situation that you're facing is not going to last always, but you need to start focusing on setting up your future. So what? You lost your job. Go out and get another one. So what? You lost the house. Go out and get a better one. So what? That man or that woman left you. Go out there and find a better one. You must maximize a painful moment by using it to prepare you for your next move. Oh my God, you have to learn that there is an after this situation, and the right words to use when you're facing a painful circumstance are words that'll speak to your future. To say, yeah, I'm in pain right now, but things are going to get better. In this painful circumstance, Jesus didn't use choice words, but Jesus said, woman, here is your son, disciple, here is your mother. Because if you're going to survive a painful circumstance and a painful experience, you must not only acknowledge that there will be an after, but you have to also accept a new level of responsibility. You have to accept a new level of responsibility. There is a purpose in your pain. Pain will push you into your purpose. Pain will place you God has for your life, you would have never understood that God has more for me than where I am right now. Sometimes God closes the door to let you know that there is something better on the other side. But in order for you to get it, you got to learn how to accept the new level of responsibility. So if you're going to claim the car, you need to claim the payments. Y'all ain't helping me in here today. If you're going to claim the house, you need to claim the mortgage. Because if you want this next level, you got to accept the responsibility that comes with this next level. And you got to learn how to use the words that will help you accept that new responsibility. It's good that I had been afflicted, David said, because I was afflicted that I accepted your statutes. If I was never afflicted, I would have never known what kind of God I served. If I never went through pain, I would have never known how awesome God is. If this issue was never here, I would have never known how to use the right words. He said, woman, here is your son. Disciple, here is your mother. Because if you're going to survive a painful experience and use the right words, not only do you have to acknowledge with your words that there is an after, not only do you have to accept with your words that there is a higher level of responsibility, but you have to also understand that you are the answer to somebody's problem. You are the answer to somebody's problem. Is there anybody here who's ever found healing in helping someone else? Have you ever found that you get a balm for your pain by being there for somebody else? You aren't just going through what you're going through for you, but you're going through the pain you're going through this morning to help somebody else. Because what's the point of having wounds if you're not going to show them to anybody? What's the point in having a testimony if you're not going to tell it to anybody? What's the point of going through hell if you're not going to bring somebody else out with you? I come to tell you that you responsibility. What are the right words? Oh my God, that will in fact help me. Oh my God, understand that there is an after to this situation. It will help me accept the problem and the pain and the predicament and the plight that I'm facing. Can I tell you the right words to say? The right word to say is thank you. Oh my God. Can I tell you why? Because when you say thank you, you're saying thank you for the situation is going to get better. Thank you for the new responsibility. And thank you that things are getting ready to turn around. Is there anybody here who can tell God thank you when problems come your way? Say thank you anyway. When hell rounds on your track, say thank you. When it seems like problems keep mounting up, I dare you to say thank you, 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 thank you. Hey, hallelujah. Let me stand all over the sanctuary. The right words to survive a painful circumstance. Your praise will confuse the enemy. Jesus, in his divine wisdom, looked down from the cross and said, Mother, behold your son. Son, behold your mother. Only God can put us in the divine adoption program. Only God can make us a part of his family. And now, as Jesus is hanging from the cross, you got to understand that this is the Gospel of John. And for those of us who are avid readers, if you're an avid reader, whenever you're looking at a writing, you always consider who wrote it. You consider the person's mindset, the person's circumstance. And in this particular text, John is the writer of John 19. And at the beginning of John chapter 1, John says that God gave us through Jesus the power to become children of God. Through Jesus, we have the power to become children of God. So it is no accident that on the cross, as Jesus is hanging there, he signs the adoption papers. It says, Mom, adopt John. And John, this is your mother. In other words, John had become in that instance Jesus' brother. My brothers and sisters, there may be somebody here who don't know Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior. Somebody who's not saved. Somebody who's not a part of the family of God. I want you to understand today that you have an opportunity to be a part of this family. A family where you're not discriminated by what you've done. A family where it doesn't matter about the mistakes you've made. A family that will look beyond your problem and your plight and your pain. Today you have the power to become a child of God just by walking down this aisle. If you've never accepted Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior, if you don't know him